goes by below. Drops the sledgehammer. Wow. Oh my goodness. I've got to see this again.
A microcosm of the series so far. Andrew Wiggins punctuating his highest scoring playoff game ever with a monster dunk on Luka Doncic as the Warriors take a 3-0 series lead. Welcome into Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G. Steve Smith, the Hall of Famer, Isaiah Thomas. I'm Matt Weiner. You're you. We appreciate you being there. Well, they know who they are.
Yes.
Yeah. It would take too long to introduce them one by one.
It would.
Warriors win at 109-100. In some ways, they did what they did in Game 2. They dominated the paint. They dominated the boards. And Dallas couldn't hit enough threes to make them pay on the outside.
Well, you know, the pressure is always on the home team to defend. And I thought Golden State came in and did an excellent job. And not only did they do an excellent job of establishing tempo, but then Steph Curry knew, like, okay, it's time to put the show on the road. And I thought he did that, Smitty.
Yeah, he did. And I think to add to you, totally right, Isaiah, I think also they were just deeper. They're a deeper team. And I think when they need some energy off the bench, you know, when it gets down to, I can go 9 deep, they can go 6 deep. Some games I go 10 deep, they go 5 deep.
Yeah.
And I think it's just starting to catch up. Luka and those guys, they're playing extremely hard. That's the one thing I do like about what the Mavericks are doing. But it just comes down to they just don't have enough for the Golden State Warriors. And I think also that championship experience is showing up right now.
Yeah.
Well, and Dallas's offensive attack is predicated on, A, Luka Doncic dominating the ball and scoring big numbers. Check. Did that tonight with his 8th career postseason 40-point game already. That's the new Mavericks franchise record. But it's also predicated on the guys on the wings and in the corners knocking down threes. And for the most part, that didn't happen. They were 13 of 45. That's under 29%. And Reggie Bullock and Maxi Kleber were combined 0 of 12. Davis Bertans only got off 2 threes on the night, missed both of them. And Eva Dorian Finney-Smith hit 2 on 5 shots, which is efficient. It's a good percentage, but it's only 2.
Not enough, like you said. You know, we started looking at percentages, and everybody, he shot 40%, but 2 of 5. You know what I mean? I think also we looked at some numbers in the paint. They were 5 for 6 in restricted area, and they were 23 for 28. I just think, to Matt's point, they just don't have enough guys to generate offense for themselves.
Right.
Yeah. And I think also they need somebody else that also can get downhill and make a play for others. I think there's Brunson, Dinwiddie, and I think it's Luka. But then that's about it for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, and again, Smitty, you know from being in playoffs, right, how difficult it is to play at home, especially when you start out slow and you're not shooting well. I mean, that pressure just continues to build and build and build, and it starts to distort your confidence. And I think that's what we saw in Dallas tonight. You know, even though they were at home, they looked to be very uncomfortable at home shooting the basketball. And the reason why is because the pressure of the playoffs and having to defend at home, the visiting team really is like coming in with no pressure. And then the visiting team coming in as former champions, they know exactly the type of pressure that Dallas was under tonight, and they put it to them.
Warriors threw some different defensive looks at them as well, little zone tonight, and at times the Mavericks just seemed discombobulated. Steph Curry was great, 31 points, 11 assists. Andrew Wiggins had that incredible dunk and 27 points. He might be the series MVP, which is a thing now. Between his work offensively, and I know Doncic is getting numbers, but the way he's making them work on the other end.
It is. I'm just so happy for Wiggins, you know, because a guy that, you know, highly touted coming into this league. And, you know, I just think he's showing some emotion.
Yeah.
He's never going to be a guy that talks, but it just seems like he's engaged, he's interested, and on both ends. And I think Luka has brought that out of him. I think he knew, hey, when they said the series started, they were watching him play against Phoenix. I know Steve Kerr said, you were getting that excitement. I bet he started ramping up saying, I don't want to be embarrassed. And you said it best, Matt. People might look at the numbers. He's destroying Andrew Wiggins. He's making, because he's very good, but I think Wiggins is making him work. And at the end, the Warriors are getting wins. And to Matt's point also, they threw a box and won. They're throwing up different defense. I like what Steve Kerr is doing. He's just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Luka Doncic.
And against this team, why wouldn't you? Why
Yeah.
not throw a box
Yeah.
and one at him? The way their offense revolves so much around what Luka does.
Yeah, and I thought, I'll go back to the Wiggins point. With Steph Curry, Clay, and Draymond being such fun, enjoyable guys, I think that's brought a different type of personality out of Wiggins too, because he's around guys who they have fun, they enjoy the game, and Wiggins is looking at them like, okay, I can smile too, I can have a good time, and I think it's brought a little bit of his personality out.
Well, the spotlight's not on him exclusively. He was the #1 overall pick. The expectations were incredibly high. He was picked to be the face of a franchise, essentially, along with Karl Anthony Towns. It's not really his personality. Not necessarily who he wants to be. And with the Warriors, he doesn't have to be any of that. They've already got these future Hall of Famers on the floor with him, and they will be forever known as the face of the franchise during this incredible period.
I mean, you say he was a former #1 pick in the draft. Now, a former #1 pick in the draft, this talented, joined Steph, Clay, and Draymond.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's almost unfair. But then you go back, and that's kind of what the Lakers and the Celtics used to do. Like the Lakers, they win the championship, then they get James Worthy.
Right.
Right? The Celtics win the championship, and then they get, unfortunately, Len Bias passed.
Yeah.
But then they end up getting Len Bias #1. I mean, so what Golden State has done in terms of kind of replicating what was done in the 80s in terms of those two franchises, Lakers and Celtics, going out and getting #1 picks to add to your championship, core, putting Wiggins on this team, it's almost kind of unfair.
Now, you guys know I am contractually and legally obligated
Okay,
to
then
tell
you
you
should
the
do it.
statistic now,
Okay.
which is that teams with a 3-0 lead in NBA playoff series are an aggregate 146-0.
Wow.
I've gotten that out of the way.
Right.
Wow.
So based on history, the series is now over. If there's a way that the Mavericks could claw back into this thing, even to win a game or two, what is that path?
That path is, hope, pray, and maybe get lucky. But, there really is no path. So, I understand the question that you're asking me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're looking at, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and they're not going to give you a path. There is no path. For all intents and purposes, this series is over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could argue that if they have an incredible three-point shooting game or two, maybe they can take a couple.
I don't see a path, but I also see if you're a competitor, I'm looking at that 146-0 and saying, well, you know what, we might be that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we looked at it. There was never a number 16 seed ever beat a #1.
Right.
Virginia lost.
Yeah.
So I think, but that's only one game. But
It's happened in baseball.
It's happened in baseball. But as a competitor, all you're saying is I got to play and win the next game.
Yep.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't want to get swept. I just don't want to get swept.
I don't want to get swept, but do I really want to go back to Golden State and get that?
Even if you don't consciously think that, somewhere in the back of your head. Yeah. All right, let's get to Jason Kidd.
Night.
He's at the microphone.